Welcome to the New Orleans Chamber Annual Meeting. As you know, I'm Brandon Davis, a labor and employment partner at Phelps Dunbar in New Orleans, and I'm very happy to have had the opportunity to serve as this year's chairman of the board. Although we can't be together for our annual meeting as we normally would at a big downtown New Orleans hotel, we're very happy to share this year's success with you remotely. And we're joining Brandi Christian at the Port of New Orleans to talk about some of the wonderful things that happen in New Orleans this year. And enjoying this beautiful scenery, Brandi, thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
And we really wanted to just talk about what the port did this year, what your business is like, and give some information to our membership about what we really don't know about the vital importance of the port in the New Orleans community. What do you have to share with us?
You know, 2020 was absolutely interesting, as it was for everyone. It certainly had its challenges. One thing I often share with people is, despite some of the ups and downs that we had, I think one reality that it gave was that in the maritime industry, we always knew how important logistics were. But I think for the everyday person, they suddenly realized how important logistics were when suddenly, you know, you're very worried about, where do I get my toilet paper? Will the grocery stores be restocked? You know, where do the goods come from? Our workers, they were still working every day. Those goods had to get to the grocery stores. They come through a port. About 90% of everything that goes to a grocery store, that comes through an ocean-going vessel. So we worked all the way through the pandemic, and that really, I give all the credit to the port workers and to the truck drivers, to the railroad workers, and to everyone, to the grocery store workers that kept the goods moving.
I'm enjoying the scenery here, and you're literally rolling on the river.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we really can't have a conversation this year without talking about the global pandemic. And my experience of 2020 was hoping that the year would come to an end and looking ahead for bright futures in 2021. What do you see next year?
You know, we're going into 2021 very optimistic. You know, we have some challenges in our business, particularly in the cruise business, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Where we're very optimistic, actually, is in our cargo business, particularly in our container business and our intermodal rail business. We are making probably our biggest public infrastructure investments in 2021. Currently, we're actually under construction just upriver here at the Napoleon Container Terminal. We are doing a $100 million investment in the container facility. Right now, we will be done with construction this fall. We're investing about $100 million in expanding our capacity. We're fabricating 4 new giant gantry cranes to process larger container vessels. So all those goods I talked about, those containers that come in, we're getting more volume, larger vessels. Those take more equipment, bigger cranes. We are under construction. They're being fabricated, the cranes, in China. We're doing the wharf construction now, and we'll cut the ribbon in probably around September, October. And we are doing that to increase capacity, but also what's vitally important about that is the demand from our carriers for increased capacity. Our volumes have continued to grow. Here in the New Orleans region, our container volumes have doubled in the last 10 years, and our customers are demanding more capacity. So we're excited about the projections, and so we're making those investments. In addition, you'll see in 2021, we're looking to make an announcement of also site selection for building a second container terminal downriver of the bridge that we're looking at here in New Orleans to
Really?
Actually invest in a second container terminal. because the demand to have a second facility for container vessels here on the Mississippi River is huge.
I believe that New Orleans is a world-class city. The question that I have is, given the success and the growth that you have now, how will we stack up internationally?
You know, it's interesting. Through the pandemic, when you looked at ports across the United States, and I'll talk primarily container ports, you saw some volumes on the East Coast and the West Coast, they dropped around 20%. And a lot of those ports, they have primarily vessels that are calling from Asia. In the Gulf Coast, we have services that obviously call Asia, but we also have services from Europe and Central America. One of the big benefits is with the opening of the Panama Canal, and that has brought Asian services to us as well in larger vessels. The beauty of the Gulf is that we have the diversity. So we dropped about 10% during the pandemic, and that was, you know, really small compared to the East and the West Coast. It's because of the diversity that we have of European, Asian, and Central American services. What's exciting about New Orleans is we're really a gateway into into the heartland of America. The Mississippi River, you know, we go all the way into the Midwest. The Midwest is a growing market as well as the South. And you're seeing distribution centers opening up all throughout the Midwest. You're seeing the population grow in the Midwest, in the South, and that is really becoming the trade battleground. And New Orleans Gateway is really ripe to be that entry into Middle America. And just this last year, and actually in September, the Army Corps began dredging the Mississippi River to 50 feet. And if we are successful in siting a second terminal, for a second container terminal, we will be the only port in the Gulf that has 50-foot draft and no air restrictions. We will have the best infrastructure in the Gulf, and we'll be able to get the largest vessels serving the entire Middle America. So really, we are poised to be the most successful Gulf gateway into Middle America with those investments.
So this is not small fries that you're dealing with, and experience and leadership and talent makes hard things look easy.
Absolutely, and you know, and it's interesting because going through 2020 and some of the challenges during the pandemic and kind of having some of those little speed bumps, you know, we've really made the decision is it's a little bit of a challenging time, but looking at 2021, we are not going to take our foot off the gas. The opportunity that we have in the container business is huge. And it's not only huge from a port perspective, but I often describe it as having an international airport. Is when you talk about going after Fortune 500 companies, you wouldn't even think about doing that or even being invited to that conversation if you didn't have an international airport. You have to have an international port, container port, to have a seat at that table. And you're now seeing the Amazon announcements, you know, looking in Baton Rouge. Medline is trying to open up on the North Shore. That's how we attract those other businesses into Baton Rouge, into the greater New Orleans area, and provide those opportunities. And really, at the end of the day, that's really what the job of the Port of New Orleans is to provide that kind of infrastructure.
On behalf of the Chamber, we couldn't commend you enough for your leadership, and of course, we've heard that you're receiving the Bertel Award very soon, and congratulations on that. And thank you so much for your leadership and your vision and just helping this business community.
Well, thank you very much. You know, as we always say, the Port of New Orleans is a collective that have really worked really hard in investment over the years to get us to this point. So we're very excited and optimistic about what 2021 is going to bring.
Well, very good. Well, keep rolling.
Yes.
And thank you for allowing us to share this beautiful scenery with you, and we wish you the very best for 2021. And to our membership, thanks for staying with us. I wanted to give you some important announcements before we left, particularly the voting for the Board of Directors. You've received information by email. We ask that each one of you complete your proxy statements and return those to the New Orleans Chamber so that our Board of Directors can continue its leadership in delivering wonderful service to you. Stay tuned for our next conversation.